Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Tudohoyane. Let us go back to that application which is supposed to be made on Tuesday. I think it was an oversight on the part of Advocate Munisi to request the court that to be coming up with an application to have Mncube examined by a dental surgeon to determine whether he ever had a gold tooth. But let me just, before I get into that, say something. You see, the most shocking thing about the MEYIWA trial is, much as nobody in the house was able to positively identify any of the intruders, strangely enough, they were able to spot a gold tooth in somebody's mouth. I mean, if you go as far as spotting a gold tooth in my mouth, surely you should have seen my face. There is no way you can just spot a gold tooth in my mouth without having a look at my face. So that is a very strange thing. Remember also that the narrative was that Ntanzi was supposed to be the person who shot Senzo MEYIWA. And he was supposed to be the person with the gold tooth. So the narrative has shifted somewhat. Because you see, the person who is supposed to have shot Senzo MEYIWA, one of the assailants who burst into that house, was supposed to have dreadlocks. He was also supposed to be dark in complexion. Now, if you look at Mncube, the third accused, he's light in complexion, very light in complexion. At least on that score alone, he does not qualify to be the suspected gunman who shot Senzo MEYIWA. But be that as it may, the focus has now shifted away from Ntanzi. It has now shifted to Mncube, who is possibly the person suspected to have shot Senzo MEYIWA. You see, the prosecution here cannot have it both ways. You cannot keep on shifting the goalposts. You see, you first start by saying it was probably Ntanzi, the second accused, when Ntanzi does not fit, that narrative. You then start looking around for somebody else in the form of Mncube. But when all this saga started way back in 2014, remember Mbatha? You see, this narrative has been shifting and shifting all over the years. First, it was Mbatha. Mbatha was arrested because he's also dark in complexion and has dreadlocks. So Mbatha was arrested. He ended up being released because they realized that now this is not the person. He has got nothing to do with the killing of Senzo MEYIWA. So the prosecution is really just looking for somebody they can feed into their narratives. It's not that they really have definitively somebody, who they can identify as the trigger puller. Because it started with Mbatha. From Mbatha, it moved on to Ntanzi. We are now seeing them, now trying to shift their focus to the third accused. So this is how this trial, I've been saying, it's a fishing expedition. It is really a fishing expedition. But interestingly also, you see that application, the judge made a huge mistake also. You see, Judge Rata is always saying he's been 50 years in the profession or something like that. He's been a judge for 20 years, he's been an attorney or lawyer for the last 30 years, and that makes a total of about 50 years. But you see, this time around, he made a huge error. That application is uncalled for. We are still with the prosecution case. And if and when the prosecution is done, we can then focus on the defense case. And you see, that doctor who is going to examine Mncube will be called by the defense during the defense case. This thing does not have to go by way of an application. In any event, strangely enough, Dr. Sibanda, Baluis Jr., has already indicated that he's going to oppose an application. Why oppose an application that is going to confirm whether or not Mncube ever had a gold tooth? Because you have identified him through Moses Mbatha, your own witness, on a photograph that he had a gold tooth. Now, when this has to be established as a matter of fact, whether or not he had that gold tooth by way of adducing expert evidence from a medical doctor, you then indicate that you are going to oppose that. What should we make of the fact that you had Moses Mbatha identify the gold tooth that Mncube had? And when expert evidence by way of medical evidence is supposed to be led, you then indicate that you are going to oppose the application. It just does not add up. How then do we establish the veracity of what we have seen on that photo? Because these days, photographs can be photoshopped. They can be manipulated. You can manipulate a photo such that you can, you can get me on a photo with a gold tooth, if you like, you just Photoshop. That is all that it amounts to. But it was a common mistake to the judge. The judge made a mistake. He should not have sought that, permission. Because under the circumstances, it is not something that they have to request the court to do. It is the constitutional right of Mncube, if he's going to, get a fair trial, to adduce whatever evidence in his defense. It is not open to the judge either to grant him that right or not. And he does not have to come before that court and request that, permission to lead that kind of evidence. He just has to lead it, and there's no way that he does not have to ask for permission from anybody, including the court. So what Mnisi must just do, Mnisi must just withdraw that request to make an application, which the prosecution has already indicated to oppose. He must just simply inform the court that, no, come the defense case, we are going to call a medical doctor who will have examined Mncube and will then be able to challenge the evidence that the prosecution is putting forward to the effect that Mncube had a gold tooth. That is all that it has to come to. Now, some of you have been asking me how possible it will be for that doctor to examine Mncube, given that he's under detention. That is very easy. What has to happen is Mnisi will just have to get in touch with, he will just have to indicate to the court like he has already indicated, and then, logistics can be made with the police and correctional services. It is just a security question. So once the security measures have been put in place, Mncube will then be transported to that medical doctor, or the medical doctor can come to prison. And then he can have Mncube examined. So that is the position that we find ourselves in. But you see, like I've been saying, this is a fishing expedition. This is the third person now who is being identified by the prosecution as the possible gunman. There cannot be many gunmen. You see, either there was a gunman or there was no gunman. It has shifted from, like I indicated earlier on, from Mbatha. From Mbatha, it moves on to Ntanzi. Now it is Mncube. What is the prosecution up to here? You be the judge this time. But like I said earlier, in an earlier video, let us wait and see how this trial pans out. And there are a lot of inconsistencies and very worrying developments as it progresses. But having said that, let me thank you for watching this video and for watching all the other videos that you've been watching in the past, and indeed the other videos that I'll produce in future. Please like and share these videos and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you.